I do feel like it is worthy of the buzz. That's a pun right there. It is worthy of the buzz that it's getting. And I want to know from others, do you feel like it's worthy? What's good people? Welcome back to Whole Views. Thank you for clicking that thumbnail. My name is Corey, and today we're going to be talking about Swarm on Prime Video. So if you haven't heard by now, Swarm is a series that is produced by Donald Glover, starring Dominque Fishback, and it has come out on Amazon Prime, and it is basically putting a whole bunch of real life events into one character, and it's following Beyonce fans and like the wild stuff connected to her fandom. My background with the show is a little bit unique because one of my favorite content creators, Joshua Neal, had talked about it on Twitter. I asked him a question, he responded to it saying that you need to check it out to know whether it's a series or a movie. I checked it out, and lo and behold, I realized that it is the same show that has the sex scene with Chloe Bailey and Damian Idris that everybody was already talking about. So I didn't know that those two things were connected, but once I checked it out based on his recommendation, I discovered that they are connected, and I will be talking about that. So use the chapters in the description if you want to jump around. That's going to be like point number 3. This video is basically going to serve as things you should know going into the series, as well as things that stand out about the series, even though I'm not all the way finished with it yet. First thing is something that you should know going into it that I didn't know going into it. This series is rated R. I know it says TVMA, but it's rated R, hard R. There's a whole lot of sex, whole lot of drugs, whole lot of full frontal male-female nudity. It's a lot to take in. Pause. So if you're one of my Christian friends and you're looking to me to see if, hey, should I check this thing out? I've been hearing people talk about it. Hey, I recommend probably not if you're a conservative viewer, because it's definitely something you can't have on around kids. It's definitely something you can't just watch in a big general audience. You gotta have a feel for if people are gonna be wanting to hear the profanity and see the drug use and see the nudity and deal with the sex and all that stuff. So if you're sensitive to those things, definitely this one is not the one for you. Second thing you need to know is that this show is based on true events. Now, all these things didn't happen, that's one, and all of these things definitely didn't happen to one person. But it is important to note that everything that you see here is based on things that actually happen in real life. So if you watch it, the stuff that goes on around the Naja character, she is basically Beyonce in the show. And you can Google search some of the things that happen if you don't remember all the history of, different Beyonce events. And you're gonna find that a lot of this stuff really happened in the world of Beyonce fandom. Like, we all know about the crazy, insane ticket prices. That's something that we can just blow off because we all know about it. But I didn't know that Beyonce was bit in the face by a fan. And that stuff is talked about and covered and, displayed here in this show. Now, moving away from things you should know and talking about things that stand out about the show, I can't talk about the show without talking about the sex scene that has everybody all hot and bothered. Now, I am a vocal critic of the use of sex in TV shows and movies. Normally, I don't like it unless it's there to set the mood or set up something in the story. Here, I actually feel like it's necessary because, one, it shows the horrible character that Damian Idris is playing in this show. 2, it shows the awkwardness of the show itself. And that's something I'll talk about a little bit later, but the show is very, very awkward and this sex scene highlights it. But aside from that, all the buzz and all the talk in relation to the sex scene is just people being pervs, dog. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. The fact that it's getting so much notoriety and there's barely any net nudity in the scene, of course, you can see from the angles that you can see the top of Chloe Bailey's butt and you can see most of Damian Idris's body and oh, that's something to clamor about. But in truth, we've seen much more of many other women in many other projects. There's not much on display here. Again, I think it serves the awkwardness of the show. But to say that it's this hot, racy scene and everybody should be watching it on loop, or it's this thing that you should look at multiple times, it's nothing. It's very nothing, in my opinion. It's not nothing to be writing home about. I guess there's just a lot of Chloe Bailey stands out there. And I guess, she looked nice, I guess. That's something that y'all into. But moving on from that and getting to point number 4 here in the video, I guess I want to talk about what's actually worthy of being talked about and what's worthy of tuning in for, and it's Dominque Fishback. Like, we talking a whole lot. There's talk about Chloe Bailey and Damon Idris. It's like, hey, Dominque Fishback is the star of this show. That, as well as great direction and artistic view of what you're doing. So this show is shot in a different way. That's very, very noticeable. The directing of Dominque Fishback in each episode is very noticeable. It has a very distinct vibe, which rolls me right into point number 5, being that this is probably the most unique thing that you can watch right now. I've never seen any of Donald Glover's other projects. I know he's largely credited with the show Atlanta. I don't know if he's the executive producer, director, what, but he has a lot of input in that show. So I never seen it. I only seen clips and like parts of episodes. I've never seen the entire episode or an entire season. I don't know if the vibe is the same from that one to this one, but what I do know is that there are distinct elements that I don't believe any other director or any other producer gets right aside from Donald Glover. What I'm really talking about here is the soundtrack and the way that the story is being told visually and audibly. There are some things that are very, very unique to this project, and I feel like no one else would get that right besides him. Soundtrack being key here because you have a made-up character, Naja, who is the Beyonce character of the show. Her music, the sound, the vibe that is put out is very, very close to what we see in real life from Beyonce. At the end of each episode, you get credits rolling with audio that just seems spot on for the moments that they leave you in each episode. You get a title card at the end of each episode, which is unique, and it makes so much sense to know the title of the episode after you see the episode, because some of the stuff is wild. After watching a few episodes, I actually dug deeper into the show and realized that it's not even shot in a traditional manner with the digital cameras and high definition. Like, this was shot on film, and it makes the colors look different. The graininess of the film looks different. There's a lot to be said here about the uniqueness of this show, and that in 2023, we're really early in. This is probably the most standout show that I've seen thus far this year. And when I say show, I really mean like movie or anything. This thing is very, very unique, and it's done very well. Dominque Fishback is killing it. I've been on her career since Project Power a few years back, but she's doing the thing here, and the direction is spot on, and I'm really, really enjoying it. So that's about all I have for this video, y'all. Those are my 5 takeaways in relation to the show. I think that the show is a really good show. I'm planning on finishing it up at some point this weekend, and I'll probably come back and give you my thoughts on the season as a whole. But I wanted to rush and give you my 5 takeaways, just getting halfway through that thing, because I do feel like it is a special project. I do feel like it is worthy of the buzz. That's a pun right there. It is worthy of the buzz that it's getting. And I want to know from others, do you feel like it's worthy? That's all my thoughts in relation to Swarm. Let me know yours, please, in the comment section. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart, and go watch something good.